Hi there, it's Sarah from Inspire Tarot. Welcome to the channel. Let's see what message Spirit has for us. The Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords is a card about having epiphanies in the mind. It's kind of when we up level, when we upgrade. I find this happens to me quite a lot when I go out for a walk. That's why I like going out for walks, because I get into my right mind really well and have loads and loads of downloads and loads of insight. And then I feel very wise, and you feel very clear. And then when you kind of couple that with walking, you feel I tend to feel very energized and just very empowered, and I like that feeling. And the Ace of Swords is very much about that expansive state of mind where we experience lots of new ideas and opportunities, and we can kind of feel that deeper connection with the spirit. We just kind of, our energy is flowing in the right direction. We're fully aligned. But we kind of understand at the same time that the mind is power, and we have this mental responsibility to focus it in the direction that we want, to focus it towards love and oneness. So the Ace of Swords is always a reminder to level up, and remember that the power is in the mind over and over. So yeah, this is definitely that's one of my favourite cards, I think. The Ace of Swords, meaning-wise. The Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is all about being completely devoted to love. And traditionally, this is the Knight in Shining Armour card. But we can see here the person in this card looks very devoted to love. She has this kind of rainbow shooting out of her up into the universe, which is a symbol of just feeling connected to everything and seeing the magic in everything and everywhere, and feeling fully aligned with it, like mind, body and spirit, just fully aligned, and wanting to expand that awareness over and over, and knowing that love extends. That feeling of just being very passionate, and as with the previous card, the energy is just flowing in the right direction towards love, to the expansion of love, and will submit itself to the process of undoing. It's just very focused on moving in the right direction. Very committed to love, very committed to the spiritual journey, very intuitive, very, very good at forgiveness, because they want to heal. And they understand that everything that they give to themselves, they give to others, and vice versa. That just giving and giving with an open heart just feels so good, and we just kind of all want to get in that state of mind. Four of Swords is a card all about resting and rejuvenation, and we can see here in this card that this lady is she's kind of sunbathing, it looks like, in the sun, but almost in a yoga pose. So it looks like a very focused form of relaxation, a very meditative sort of relaxation, which is what the Four of Swords is about, really. It's when we feel overwhelmed and we want to recharge. And this is part of the process where we need to regain perspective quite often, because as our self-concept shifts, it can feel very uncomfortable. And the more we grow, the more discomfort we can experience. But at the same time, we see that discomfort in a different way. We see it in a positive way, knowing that it's really helpful. And every time we feel discombobulated and out of sorts, it's because our old self is breaking down and our new self is being formed. So it feels uncomfortable to us, and we need to rest and recuperate. But it's really part of the process, and it's very powerful. And not to be frightened by it, not to be overwhelmed, just to reflect and kind of realign with the truth. The Nine of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. The Nine of Pentacles is a card all about being very independent, feeling very fulfilled internally, very aligned within a peace, feeling very prosperous, very self-sufficient emotionally, that our emotions are not tied to external circumstances, or even if an external circumstance happens that makes us, that kind of pings us, then we can go back within. We feel confident that we are aligned with the Spirit and that we can validate ourselves internally, and then we can radiate this joy outwards and share it with others because we know our worth. It's just a very powerful state to be in. And yeah, I think it's something that everyone kind of strives for, to feel that anchored in the truth, anchored in love, anchored in God, anchored in their own power, which is God's power, which is love. And we all want to feel that for sure. And the Ace of Wands card is all about aligning in the spiritual and energetic realm. It's about new opportunities. We're always receiving new opportunities to level up. And yes, we may feel as though these opportunities, we see them kind of from a form perspective, but the Spirit is more focused on the changes in our mind, because those are the changes that matter, because only the mind is real. As I've mentioned before, we tend to focus more on the external, but really it's just the changes within, because the more we change within, the more safe and happy and comfortable and empowered we feel. And the more then we can bring our passion and our desires and everything into the world. We just kind of light up, and then we can share that with everybody else. And it's just very inspiring. It feels good, which is essentially what God wants. God just wants us to be happy and be aligned with all the opportunities that come our way, and just kind of seize them with open arms. So yeah, I mean, these cards are very brightly coloured. They're very dynamic. And so far this reading is very dynamic. The Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is a card. I've never seen a card, actually, a Four of Wands card with somebody pregnant. But yeah, the Four of Wands card is all about celebration and collaboration. Just a feeling of being very happy and joyous. And it could be to do with special events in form, or just that we feel as though we're reaping the rewards of the changes that we make in the mind, that we're allowing more love in, we're allowing more goodness into our life. I think it was Rumi that said that we really just got to remove the blocks. Love is kind of flowing to us all the time, and we need to keep working on removing the barriers and things that we've built within us to block it. So yeah, this card is a powerful symbol that we're doing that, that we're building a stronger foundation, and life is kind of alive inside us, and we're moving very much in the right direction. The Queen of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune. So the Queen of Swords, as we know, seeks the truth. She's very focused on, she's just very strong, very rational, very matter of fact, kind of understands that we have to apply the mind training for it to work. We can't be airy-fairy about it. We have to apply it. And we can't fall back into self-pity and feel sorry for ourselves. And I think we often have a tendency to do this, to fall back into the state of feeling weak, whereas the Queen of Swords is reminding us that the truth is within us and we have to align with it, and we can't mess about. We have to be uncompromising. We have to be authentic. We have to be no nonsense. We have to be the authority. We have to make the decision to align with the truth, and really respect ourselves and see ourselves as worthy of the effort, and be able to communicate that with ourselves and others, to know when we don't want something, to speak up and say, I don't want this, and not feel guilty about it. Because if we don't want it, if we don't feel like we want it, it's not aligned for us, and we must discern what is right for us, and be guided by our feelings and speak out. The Wheel of Fortune is a card which is very much about understanding that change is constant, and that we just kind of need to accept that the script is written. The Wheel of Fortune card is reminding us that change is fated, and that we are all destined to wake up. You know, we all think that we have a destiny in form. What is our destiny in form? But the truth is, our destiny is to wake up to the truth, to remember that we're not really in form. And the Spirit is going to use the physical form to help us awaken, but it's not really about the form. So we need to not attach to the physical, and just kind of remember very much that we're in the world, but we're not of it, and that change is constant. And that's why we can't rely on things in the physical world, because everything's always in flux. It's always changing. The thing that we want to anchor in is the truth, is in God's love, is in knowing that we're sustained by God, and that there's always harmony in chaos, and that everything that's going to come to us is going to come to us, but it's all for our higher healing. So really, it's just a recognition that, yeah, that we're in the world but not of it, and that we can ride the waves and just keep going, because everything is progressing as it's meant to. The Hierophant and the Lovers. So the Hierophant is all about our spiritual practice. We're always refining our spiritual beliefs. And I see this as we understand from A Course in Miracles, it's kind of like we read it and then we feel like we don't embody it, maybe because we have too much guilt. But when we apply the teachings, then we understand more and more, and we go deeper. And as our consciousness shifts, we're able to see things that we couldn't see before. And I notice this more and more, that quite often in the past or even now, I would read something in a book and I knew it didn't really land for me, but then at the same time I would know that it seemed important somehow, and I would just kind of maybe screen cap it on my phone or hold it in my awareness, just keep it in the back of my mind, and then something will happen a bit further down the line, and then you realise, I get it now. It just kind of lands deeper. And this is something that very much happens on our spiritual path, that things land deeper and deeper over time. I always feel as though consciousness kind of unlocks in levels, and the spirit or the higher self part of us allows this knowledge to come through to us when we're ready to hold it. And the Hierophant, yeah, is just very much about refining our spiritual path, and we have to do our forgiveness work. And then it just unlocks higher levels of awareness for us, which is what we want. We keep making progress. Yeah, and the Lover's card coming out, just to show us that we're in love. We're kind of in love with everybody. Jesus always said that love is one, and if we don't see it that way, then we don't feel it. Love has to be all-inclusive in order to be love, because that's what love is. Love is one, and anything that seems to be separate from one, or loving a particular person or loving a thing, is just part of it. It's not a whole of it, and that's why it never feels fully satisfying. Whereas we're learning to love everyone and everything that happens to us, and seeing it as like a carefully crafted journey home that's perfect for us. And I think that when we get to the end and we look back, we'll be just delighted to see how everything unfolded and see how everything magically fit together. And it's just clever, and we don't always see this from our lower perspective, but with hindsight we can always see that when we give love to others, we receive it back, because we receive it as we give it, because as it's flowing through us, that is us receiving it. That's how love works. So we really always want to see everybody as their highest self in the kindest way we can, because we benefit from it, and so do they. We set them free from the limitations of the crazy thoughts and beliefs that we have about ourselves and about them by seeing them as love and forgiving them. And once we can see everybody and everything as love, then we've returned it to its natural state. Nothing in the external world needs to actually change. We just need to see everything as love, in the same way that the Holy Spirit does. And then we've done our job, and that's essentially what God wants for us, to understand that everything is love and everything is perfect. And that we maybe feel as though it's not, but that's just a misinterpretation, and we live by our interpretation. So when we return everything to love, then we've done what we're supposed to do, and it feels good. It does feel good to feel as if you can have love with everybody. There's just so many opportunities then for happiness These cards are jumping out. The Ten of Cups. And the Six of Cups. So the Ten of Cups, yeah, is a card of complete fulfillment, of unconditional love. And we get this by being guided by the Spirit in every moment, because there are, sometimes I think we have this belief that we want to understand how to do something specifically, but how we respond to a situation changes in every given moment. It's completely based on the unique circumstances of the people involved and their level of consciousness and the seeming issue that they seem to be involved in at that time. So there's no one fixed way of doing anything. It's always being aligned with the higher mind in the moment. And the Ten of Cups is very much a symbol of us receiving and being in that state where we just feel very fulfilled, and we have this symbiotic relationship with everybody where we're very kind. We feel safe to be vulnerable. We know that we're divinely protected and the communication is good, and we have this harmony and peace. So we're just very fully in alignment. And even if things come up, issues come up, then they're talked about, and they're seen as less important than the peace and oneness, which resides beyond them. So we're always deciding to default back to that state. Yeah, which is beautiful. So, and the Six of Cups is all about having happy memories. So to me, I see this card about looking back at the past and seeing it as a blessing, and remembering that any negative memories or anything that we had in the past that seemed unpleasant, it's an opportunity for us to just see it in a different light, to see it as part of our lessons, and that we were doing our best at the time. And essentially that's what love is. We're always striving towards the light, and the divine forgives us for being wherever we are, because the divine knows that we kind of reside beyond the confusion, and we're given this grace to be wherever we are as we return to that state. Yeah, and it's nice to look back and just remember that see the past as being healed and whole, and that everything was perfect as it was, and everything is still perfect now, beyond our misinterpretations. And we can anchor in that belief, or we can anchor in the belief that everything's going wrong. One feels good and one doesn't, one's true and one isn't. So it's always just a reminder to stay aligned with the truth and stay aligned with love, and bring it to every situation that we're in. And we are going to get shaken, but that's part of the process. That's part of the refining process as we sift and sort through all our life experiences and get to see them differently, and get to use them for healing and for love and for redirection. So yeah, we are the alchemist, and it's a beautiful process, and we just need to go with the flow. So yeah, that was a beautiful reading today. These cards are very vibrant. I love them. I hope you enjoyed it and found it inspiring. I'll see you again. Bye.